Hello and welcome back to the dinner table, this March Madness edition. So
Woo!
excited to break down the brackets with you guys. How are you? Back from New York, back in Milwaukee. How are you doing?
So good. I'm so excited for all this. And New York was just like a good start to everything because it was seriously so much fun. Like, even though we lost in semifinals, it never goes by where that tournament is not a good time.
I was just so happy we made it to Friday. It's like you go all the way out there, you at least want to spend one extra day out there, and beating Xavier was a good win. So, obviously losing to the Big East champs sucks, but at the end of the day, it was a good game. So,
Feels a little better. But yeah, it's like just seriously a blast. I can't eat a bagel or anything else back
pizza.
home. Yeah, or pizza back here just
Oh, I
because I
feel like a
ate.
fat ass right now.
Oh my God. I was like, are you serious, Chloe? Like a bacon, egg, and cheese every day. There's the best. There's the best bagels place right next to our hotel. So it's
Really?
literally, you get out, you walk in. So Lauren Hart and I will go there every single morning. We had the same routine. Just grab a bag of bagels, go upstairs. Grab a bag of bagels, go upstairs. Like, it's so good.
Well, there's no bad bagel spot either. I mean, we went to two or
Yeah.
three good ones. It's like I wish we had more bagel spots in Wisconsin.
I just wish our bagels tasted like that. I'm like,
Hmm.
Yeah.
what in the world? It's so good.
What
So,
were you
so
getting?
fun.
Bacon, egg, and cheese or
So
just
like it's so funny. I did like a bacon, egg, and cheese, and then we'd also did like a shamrock like green dyed bagel with like
Hmm.
with but they're not different flavor. It's the same as plain. It just has green dye in it with plain cream cheese. And then the last day we decided to do like a little lunch edition. So then I got like an Italian Supremo on a plain bagel, which is just like you can't wow. Like
damn,
I
you were being adventurous, huh?
I just like it was so good. Well, it's not you can't go wrong with an Italian sandwich. It was just like salami, like the whole ordeal. I not even kidding you. Like it was like the best thing I ever had.
Sounds amazing. And you spent some money?
It's just like yeah, you can't like not spend money there. It's ridiculous. Lauren and I both were like, okay, let's go to Soho. Like we're not really looking for anything, so why don't we just like look around and see what it is? And yeah, ended up spending a lot of money, which is fun though.
I love it. How was that night after the Xavier game? I feel like I was just getting a bunch of pics of you guys like out at the bars and having fun.
So fun. I mean, so you go to obviously Mustang Harry's before the game is like the Marquette go-to bar, and then after the game, it's kind of been Triple Crown is our go-to bar for the post-game festivities. Not that every Marquette fan knows that, but like our family definitely does.
Just us, like, and some
And no,
lacrosse Marquette boys.
yeah, exactly. And so Triple Crown is just literally one more bar down from Mustang Harry's, but it's nice because after the game it wasn't that crowded, and they have Irish car bombs there, so we enjoyed those and had a bunch of fun.
How
Yeah.
was mom? Just like the happiest person on the planet?
Yeah, she was so happy. I mean, like she was working a ton too, so she's a little bit tired by the time like the games and stuff came around, but like she was obviously a blast. We did such a good dinner the first night after they won. We went to like this Asian restaurant. John's really good at picking out dinners. We all know that. So it was so good. Spicy, but good. And
That was
then
a good spot.
yeah, it was just cool. It was like a good vibe. And then we went to Triple Crown and just had like bar food after the next night. But then Cam left and went home with Noreen, and mom really wanted to go see a show. So Lauren, mom, John, and I went to and Juliet. And I kid you not, guys, like I have hard times with play sometimes. Like, one, I have a hard time
Yeah,
staying up. I also like
same.
don't really understand what's going on. I'm not even kidding you. Like, this play, it just was amazing. It was so good. I absolutely loved it. Do you guys know what it's about?
No.
So, and Juliet is basically the story about Romeo and Juliet, but at the end of Romeo and Juliet, they both kill themselves because Romeo kills himself and then Juliet wakes up and sees him dead, so she kills herself too. This story is about Juliet waking up and not killing herself, so it's her life after Romeo. And it is just like
Uh,
really, really good because it's all pop music. So they sing like all these Katy Perry's and like roar, like just things that are just like so uplifting. Everyone's singing in the crowd. The guy from NSYNC is in it, the band NSYNC, so people were going crazy about him. And then Charlie D'Amelio's in it, so it was just like
cool.
really, yeah, it was just like really cool. She was an understudy for ours, so she wasn't on the stage, but it's just like, yeah, it's really, really fun. It was just amazing. Like, I have a hard time with it. I've seen Lion King, I've seen Aladdin, I've seen Hamilton, all in New York on Broadway, and I'm lucky to do that, but nothing compares to this so far.
Wow. I love that. That sounds like a blast. Well, for me, I was in Green Bay, Wisconsin. No, but
Yeah, but you had
seriously,
fun.
I had the best weekend ever, honestly. It was so much fun calling all the tournament games, really good games. One of them went to triple overtime, which was like a blast. It didn't even feel like it was going long. I didn't even want it to end. Two extremely good point guards on the team, just like going back and forth.
Are
So
they
it was
going
just,
somewhere next year?
well, Anna Miller's only a sophomore for Edgewood. She's really good, so she'll go somewhere eventually, but she's young. And then do you know Micaiah Litza?
No.
She plays for Wauwatosa East, and she has offers from like DePaul, Ohio State.
Cool.
I don't know if Marquette's offered her or not, but yeah, they were just like two small guards that were just like couldn't be stopped either way. It was just, yeah, it was so much fun. And so I'll do the boys tournament this week too, and I just got my games for that. So yeah, it's like the most fun 2 weeks of the year.
It's so cool. Like, yeah, first of all, Carly does a really good job at it. We weren't unfortunately not able to listen, which is everything going on in New York, but she got so many compliments and obviously deserves it. She does all the play by play, so it's a little different from what she is in the day to day in the newsroom, but she kills it.
Yeah. Thank you, Chloe.
Literally,
Go
literally
ahead.
everyone texts me and calls me and tells me that too. It's
Yeah.
so funny.
That's so nice. I can't believe how many people watch it. Like
Mhm.
it's crazy,
Which is
but
awesome.
I love it. I love it. The dream is for Chloe and I to do a game together. So we will eventually, whether it's that or something else. But
Yeah.
it'll
That's the
it'll
goal.
That'd be so
yes.
fun. How
Yeah.
about Cedarburg's in it?
Yeah. That's what we
Yeah.
were talking about. Yeah.
Will Dykstra, who I coach, plays on the team.
Wow. I forgot about that. Cool.
Cool. All right. So obviously it's like our favorite day of the year, Selection Sunday. Bummer we couldn't spend it together. But what do you guys remember from being young and that like I still like I don't you just like it feels like Christmas Day once that show's about to start.
I'm singing the song. Like I'm just like the whole thing is coming together. It was so cool. We were driving home from Midway and I was like having Lauren put it on Bluetooth and like she was just like showing me every now and then or like whatever. And it's just got me through the drive because it's the best thing in the world.
Yeah, it really is. I was like, obviously, you go into the office today, and that's like what people are talking about, March Madness. So it's so fun. We get best time of the year.
Yeah. We would all like huddle around the TV growing up with like mom and dad. It was just so much fun. Just to see where Marquette was playing. And it was so fun because we would usually go. So it was like, where are we going on this next trip? Like, it was a blast and it still is.
What was your favorite trip you went on to NCAA tournament?
I just always remember San Diego.
Yes, I was gonna say that too.
Yeah. I don't think you
Even
were
though
there,
we
Chloe.
lost,
Not
Chloe
there.
didn't go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a little
So
young.
so happy you guys enjoyed that.
Well, we lose every time I went. So I don't know, but it was still just, it was a blast. Like, I think we rode on the team or we went on the team plane, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
That was like the coolest thing ever.
yeah, it was.
Yeah. All right. So, okay, I want to talk about Marquette and Wisconsin and where they landed, but can we talk about the Badgers first? Because it went from Big Ten championship game right into the selection show. I like didn't even have time to breathe at work with how much was going on. But what you guys you guys might have been traveling. Cam was home, but for the championship game, low scoring battle.
I can't believe they lost that game. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
first off, Michigan stinks. I'm just gonna come out and say it. They're gonna get upset by UC San Diego.
You
I'm
think?
calling that out of the gate. Yeah, that's not even my Cinderella team either. I think Michigan's horrible. Bad team. They got no shooting. Wisconsin could not have played worse. I mean, they
Yeah.
literally played their worst game possible, and they were up 9 at one point and still should have won the game. All those guys. I mean, it was the worst game I've ever seen from
Tanjay.
Tanjay. Yeah,
I
he was phenomenal the whole tournament too.
Yeah.
Couldn't miss, and then he laid an egg in that tournament. I
And
thought
coming
Blackwell
off 32
horrible.
points.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
but it's 3 games and the Big Ten
Four.
tournament's long. I mean, yeah. Well, for Wisconsin, they had the bye, but yeah, it's just a long tournament. Like these guys just looked exhausted.
yeah,
They
it
looked
must have
really
been dead
tired.
legs or something because they from three were just horrible. I mean, what did they end up shooting? It was under 25%, I think, from three. It was
Uh,
horrible. They
it,
were
it,
like at one point they were 3 for 33 from the 3-point line.
yeah,
And they
it
just
was
kept shooting them.
it was 23-21 at halftime, if that tells you anything. So it was,
Probably like
but
one of the high school games you just called.
it was that was towards the end of the game of one of them. But um, yeah, I mean the thing is for Wisconsin, I don't think like this ruins like your momentum or anything like that heading into the NCAA tournament. And Like, okay, here's what I think. I wanted to see how Steven Crowell and Nolan Winter played against those two bigs because earlier in the season, we got dominated by them. It was like our first Big Ten game, and it was like a welcome to the Big Ten this season. Like, like they just looked, not ready to see that. And Nolan Winter's grown so much. So I thought they looked really good against the bigs, especially on the boards because we dominated the boards against Michigan. Granted, we couldn't hit any shots, but we got a ton of great looks all game. So I think it was just heavy legs. So, I'm feeling good still about Wisconsin heading into the tournament.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, I was grateful. I think the best thing ever is flying home and having a game to watch the whole time on Southwest TV. So like that was great too. Like I had it on, was watching, and then I'm just bored in the beginning because it was just such a low scoring game like we talked about. But I do still think like I'm positive about where Madison is going into the tournament. And like Cam said, they should never have lost that. And then it was sad to see them on the TV when they're all, no trophy, just kind of didn't know how to clap. It's just such a quick turnaround. That kind of sucks.
I'll tell you guys this. I have a completely different outlook than you guys in this
Really?
situation. I think one of the worst things you can do is go all the way to the championship game, expend yourself to that amount the week before the NCAA tournament, lose that game. So now you're devastated. Like you saw Max Klesman when they got announced. He's not clapping. None of those guys are excited. And then they are, now in the 3 seed. I think if they would have won that game, they still probably would have been a 3, maybe creeped up to a 2. But obviously, you have the potential to maybe play in Milwaukee. You're not anymore.
Yeah.
You're playing on the road. And I think the second round matchup they're going to have is going to be a really, really tough one for them.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into that. Let's get into where Wisconsin is because that is the one thing I don't feel good about is like they got penalized for playing on championship Sunday, basically, because they get put on Thursday and not just Thursday at noon. So like that's the worst out in Denver, Colorado. I just think that's bogus. Like Greg Gard, I feel like could have said a lot more. Obviously, he's like trying to stay positive for his team and stuff, but I just think that was really shitty and they probably would have gotten a 3 seed. I don't know. I mean, I think they had to beat Michigan State. So they probably had to do what they did in the Big Ten tournament to get a 3, but still.
And I'll tell you what about playing in Colorado. Like it does not matter indoor, outdoor. Like when I played out there against Boulder, I had the worst game of my career. And aside the point of the air being horrible, like it seriously though, like was really tough. Like you have to get out there pretty early, start practicing pretty early. Like that air is not easy.
And look who they play, Montana. Montana
Yeah.
is coming from high elevation as well. So they definitely have the advantage out there. I mean, they're not traveling that far either.
Yeah.
I know.
Wisconsin is favored. They're favored by 17. So, that's a lot. But okay, what do you think about their second round matchup then? Because they'll have BYU or VCU.
Why does that very
Are we getting into our Cinderellas?
Well, no, okay, well, save it. But why does that scare you, I guess? If that's your Cinderella, you can say it, but
Well, first off, I think BYU is a strong team. They've given Iowa State, who I think is pretty good, a bunch of trouble this year. And they just have a bunch of strong players. Their big man is a tough guy, but I think VCU is even better than BYU. So I have
Really?
VCU as my Cinderella team, beating BYU. And the way that VCU plays defense is like very reminiscent of the Shaka days when he was at VCU. Like they pick you up, they grind you down. It makes me worried the way that Wisconsin shot the ball in the last game. Like VCU loves those type of games, and Wisconsin just seems like they can go either they're making threes and they look like one of the best teams in the country, or
right.
they're off for a day and they look like one of the worst teams in the Big Ten.
I was looking at that matchup, VCU, BYU, and kind of going back and forth on who to pick. But just who VCU has played this year just didn't stand out to me. So it's so hard. It's like, okay, George Mason made it to their Atlantic 10 championship. They're a pretty decent team. I was watching them. They beat them twice pretty handily. I mean, the second game was a little bit closer. And other than that, like I don't really see anyone that's, a really big win. So I kind of was like, okay, I'm going to take BYU and I'm going to take Wisconsin. So that's my matchup in the next round.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like, that's not like a guarantee for me that VCU is going to beat BYU, but I think whoever wins that game is beating Wisconsin in the next round.
So I shouldn't book my tickets to Newark for the Sweet 16 just yet?
You shouldn't book your tickets for Newark regardless, because that is a shit city.
Is it really?
That's where
Damn.
Seton Hall plays. It sucks. Like we were praying that Marquette didn't go out there. The arena is where the New Jersey Devils plays. You think it would be nice. It's kind of shitty.
Ugh.
Seton Hall women play in South Orange too, and it's shitty as well. So
Yeah.
Damn. When I saw it, I was like, oh, maybe it's like kind of a cool place.
Well, do you think you'll go out there to cover it?
Well, so not this weekend. I would have gone this weekend, but I'm calling the boys' games. But then, yeah, if they make it to the Sweet 16, I would
Yeah, you'll
assume.
definitely be there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so that's interesting. And then they'd have to be, to go even further. Duke and Alabama are really the two top teams in the bracket.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
I do have Wisconsin beating BYU. So I don't know why. I just for some reason I do. And then I have them losing to Alabama. So, I mean, I kind of go with higher seeds for that situation, but haven't seen enough of BYU.
yeah. All
I
right,
think they're going to be tired. That's going to be my thought process on it. They're going to be tired. They played 4 games in a short span, and they're going to be a little tie going into the tournament.
well, I'm tired hearing their schedule. Like, damn. Um, all right, so let's talk about Marquette. I mean, they don't have a walk in the park for their first matchup either. But what do you guys think about their seed? First of all, we talked a lot about what seed they were going to get, and they come away with a 7, and they're playing New Mexico in the first round.
Yeah, I was happy with it. I mean,
You are?
when you're not an 8 or 9, obviously, then you don't have to play the 1, which is nice. So I was hoping for us not to be an 8 seed, getting the 7. I mean, New Mexico's a tough opponent. Whatever team you're going to play at the 7-10 matchup is always going to be pretty tough. New Mexico's got a great point guard. I don't know too much about them. Obviously, they're going to get the scouting report from Rick Pitino because his son coaches the team. So he'll probably give them a little breakdown as to what you got to do there. But, if you do beat New Mexico, which is no easy task, I think that Michigan State, out of all the 2 seeds, is probably the best matchup for Marquette. And that's not saying Michigan State isn't great. I think they're a really good team, but they can definitely go cold from the field. I mean, you saw that in the Big
Right.
Ten tournament. And then, they're big inside, but these other 2 seeds, like you didn't want to go have to play Tennessee. You didn't want to have to go play Alabama, these other SEC
Yeah.
teams. And you didn't want to have to go play, who else? St. John's, I guess we would have matched up against them anyways. But I just thought that Florida or Michigan State was probably the best possible matchup for us coming out. And then, obviously you get a little bit of that revenge factor too, because they beat us a couple years ago in the tournament. So I wasn't completely distraught about it. I think the first matchup against Mexico is going to be tough, and then they got a fighter's chance against Michigan State.
For sure. There's a lot of talk about this Donovan Dent for New Mexico and the matchup, against Cam Jones, like two really, really good point guards in the country. So it sounds like a fun one to watch.
No, yeah, I'm excited about it. Cam was talking today about driving out to Cleveland
Mhm.
on Saturday.
Cleveland.
I was thinking the same thing. But yeah, we'll have to see on the women's side. There's some good tournament games on Saturday, so I'm trying to decide which way and which direction to go to, but it could be fun to watch Marquette, especially on that second game if it is Michigan State.
What if I just
I
dropped
love
you
that
off?
matchup.
If I just dropped you off in Notre Dame on my way to Cleveland?
Yeah, drop me off in South Bend and then figure it out
I was
from there.
wondering if what that would be like. Wait, so where would Marquette play in the Sweet 16?
It is in
In Atlanta.
State Farm Arena in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Okay.
seeing too.
Damn. So that's where you guys are headed, and I'll be in New Jersey.
Seriously.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad about that, honestly.
No, it sounds great.
I can't go regardless. We got Club 52 starting, so
Okay. Okay. So I mean, I feel like here's what I think. I don't feel like you guys think Marquette's going that far. Like I'm just getting the sense, like just how we talked all this stuff about Wisconsin, and it's like, oh yeah, I like their matchup, but like we're not like talking about them going that far.
Here's my issue. Like when I make brackets, like I got to make one that's realistic, one for the heart. Like I have one where Marquette's going to the Final Four, and then I have one where I'm like, okay, I got to lock in and be serious right now. Like I truthfully like just didn't think they even looked great this weekend. Like they played Xavier really tight. They pulled out a good win. Xavier's a decent team, but not the best. And then we go and play St. John's, and we couldn't put together a 40-minute game. And we didn't have people that were going to step up outside of Cam. And David Joplin had a couple good games and then was super inconsistent in that last game. And just that's something we really struggle with. And again, our bigs, we just struggle with our bigs so much. And against Michigan State, that's going to be a really big issue. So I don't know. That's just kind of where my thoughts are. I'm not confident in it, but I would love to see them do it. And I'm going to make a bracket regardless of it, but don't trust it too much.
agree with Chloe. Like anything can happen in these tournament games. I mean, you see teams that are not playing that well get in the tournament, they get hot or whatever. Like Marquette can definitely string together. If they shot a bunch of threes and, we're hot one day, maybe we could pass Michigan State. I just think at the end of the day, like you look at these teams that are like top three seeds, all of them have multiple big men that they can go inside to. They have multiple big men who are rim protectors for them. It's just something that we're lacking. I mean, every Marquette fan knows it. I think, it's just unfortunate. I think, even if you would ask Ben Gould, maybe he's potentially playing out of position. He's more of a 4 than he is a 5.
Mhm.
I think that's a little bit of a detriment. Like these teams in the SEC have 7-footer after 7-footer. And for me to say that we're going to go far in the tournament, we're going to run into one of those teams eventually. I think they got 14 of them in the tournament. So it's just like, in Michigan State's one of them also. They got multiple big men that they rotate throughout a game. They get these guys into foul trouble. And if we lose Ben Gold, we're already at a disadvantage. Like it's just, we don't have a lot there in the front court.
And
Yeah.
I think like I do get some confidence out of Marquette for being a team that not a lot of people see all the time in their conferences. I mean, even when you talk about the SEC, it's comparable to how Marquette wants to play defense. But the Big Ten, like they don't really have people who are running around scrappy, athletic. They do and don't like Marquette could be. So there could be a possibility with that. Like, I don't know. I kind of like how Marquette plays defense. And I don't know if Michigan State runs into it too often. But those SEC schools, they do all the time. That's exactly how everyone runs it.
Michigan State plays defense. They got some great guard play too.
Yeah, but the people they play against, I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean that's true. They might not have seen anyone like Cam Jones in the Big Ten all year. That's something for sure.
Yeah. All right. So they got Auburn on this side too. Um, yeah, that they'd have to go through eventually to get to San Antonio. But I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't hate it against Michigan State, but I've seen them play a couple times this year. Um, okay, so let's talk about our final four first, and then our pick and pop three is our Cinderella team, who you already heard a little bit about for both sides of the bracket. But let's do final four for the men's side.
I'm gonna sound so lame on the Final Four here because I got all the number one seeds, but leading up to the Final Four, I have a lot of upsets. So I think like once it gets to the Final Four, first off, in my Elite Eight, I have Auburn against Michigan State. I have Duke versus VCU. So VCU is my Cinderella team, 11 seed, and
Okay.
then on the other side of it, I have Florida against Maryland and Houston against Clemson.
Okay.
So and Clemson's a 5 seed, Maryland's a 4 seed. So, but my Final Four is all the number one seeds. I just think those four teams, Auburn, Florida, Duke, Houston, have been really good throughout the whole season. I think they're all four of them are like really deep. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
they have a lot of NIL money because these guys, their seventh, eighth man off the bench could start on a lot of teams in the country. And then like I think there's one team that stands above the rest. And I think it's clearly Florida. And this is where you can go ahead and clip this, Chloe, get this ready for when they win the national championship. I would take Florida right now against the entire field if I was betting because I think they're just that damn good. I mean, I think literally like 1 through 10, they platoon you. I mean,
Mhm.
they have 4 7-footers who can all really pass. They're all really mobile. One of them can shoot the ball. The other one's probably the best big in the country, dunks everything, shot blocker around the rim. When one guy gets in foul trouble, it's no issue at all. And then their guard play is arguably the best in the country as well. So like, I think they're going to UConn this throughout the tournament and beat everybody by 15 and win the national championship.
I wish I would have talked
Boom.
first because I got the same exact thing as you.
Seriously?
But yeah, I got the exact same teams. Obviously, all four number ones, but Auburn, Florida, Duke, Houston. And I watched Florida play against Tennessee, and I've never seen such a high level game before.
Such a good game.
It was unbelievable on both ends, just the talent, the way that they play at the speed they play at. Coming from a Big East tournament, after watching some of those games, it was a night and day difference. I was like, these teams are good, like good. And I was shocked by it. And I hadn't seen much of Florida. And after that game, I was like, those guys are winning the national championship, like without a doubt. So
Well, how good is the shooting? I mean,
yeah,
it's so
everything.
good. It's everything, but I'm also like when they have open shots, they don't miss open shots. They
Mhm.
don't miss contested threes even. Like towards the end of the shot clock, you're getting the ball, and these guys, all the guards on Florida can stroke it. I mean, and so it's just like deflating stuff. And,
Yeah.
and you're not gonna have a night where 10 guys have an off night.
No.
These guys they can all go, and if someone's having an off night, they're bringing someone else in for them.
Yeah, so not too exciting that we have the exact same thing, but I saw something special out of Florida and could totally see them winning it, the whole thing. I have them playing Duke. Who do you have?
Duke.
Yeah, great.
And then do you have Duke winning, Chloe, or Florida?
No, Florida.
Oh, wow. You guys really have the same exact bracket.
I know,
I
I
think
guess
Florida
so.
beats Duke by double digits.
Damn.
I mean, I'm impressed by them, Carly.
Well, you're not going to like that I was going to have St. John's come out of that region. You guys are big Gator fans over here, but
I don't.
I believe
I'll
in
tell you
St.
what.
John's.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though. If I were going to pick one other team in that bracket to go against a team like Florida, I would pick St. John's. So I'm not saying St. John's is going to win it, but I think I like that matchup the best.
Florida's going to beat St. John's by 25 if they play them. I'm telling you right now, St. John's has not near enough size. I mean, it's just like Ejiofor is 6'9". That's their biggest guy. Florida is so big that they just are going to dominate them.
It's crazy.
And I think it's going to be Texas Tech that they match up in, though, going into the Elite Eight. And Texas Tech, actually, I really like. They got what's his name, Toppin, who's their center, and he's phenomenal. But they don't have enough to beat Florida either. So it'll be interesting.
All right, Carly,
All
keep
right.
going though.
No, I mean, I had all the other three number ones. I just like St. John's. Every time I see them, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to play them. They're so scary. And Rick Pitino, like they're just like a tough nose team. You guys have seen them play a ton. So I was like, I don't know. I think they could make a run to the Final Four, but I also haven't seen Florida play that much. So, I'll take your word for it.
I would love to see what Patino does against Florida. I mean, I guarantee you he's not going to play them the same way that they play Marquette. Like, they got to do something different. They're going to probably be really helter-skelter and try to win the game by I don't know how they win that game, honestly. They're not going to win it by letting Florida bring the ball up and thump it down in the post. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think my most exciting matchup in that region, though, is Arkansas St. John's, just for the Patino Calipari matchup. Like, I think I had to just make that happen regardless. I think it will happen, but I made that happen because of the exciting coaching matchup.
The NCAA does this every single year, and they say that they don't make these matchups based off of those type of circumstances, but they do it every year. Every year we were in the tournament, with Marquette, Wojo was going to play Duke in the second round.
Swear.
Like they make these happen all the time, and you can't tell me that the Patino versus Calipari matchup is like not on purpose.
Exactly.
Kansas Arkansas is like a great first round matchup. Like I will
yeah.
be tuned in for that. Okay, let's keep it going. Cinderella team, Cam, you have VCU.
Yeah, I have VCU going to the Elite Eight. I mean, 11 seed. I think that's one of my Cinderellas. The other one I have is Yale, and I think that they're going to beat Texas A&M. And I have UC San Diego beating Michigan, and then Yale moving on and playing Auburn and losing to them eventually.
Okay. I was considering Yale as well. My pick and pop team, though, Cinderella team, is Drake. I love that, Chloe. Yeah, a lot of confidence in them. I unfortunately have them losing to St. John's in the Sweet 16, so I don't have them going too far, but just as far as getting past those first couple rounds and beating a team like Texas Tech, which is very hard to do, but I just like the underdog mentality. These D2 guys that have come in with their coach is a special environment they have, and I think they're going to make some things happen.
Okay. My Cinderella team is New Mexico.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
damn.
I'm sorry, but this happened because this would happen to Marquette. It happens all the time. And everyone's been talking about this guard. They have 3 players that are 6'9". They have a top 20 defense. And I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm ready to get my heart broken even more. And so I'm saying New Mexico, but I do have to say, Louisville was super underseeded. And I think they're a 10. So I don't think that really counts as a Cinderella.
They're an 8.
They're an 8? Oh.
But underseeded for sure. I mean, people thought they were going to be potentially a top 5 seed.
Yeah. So I think they can make a run for sure, but I don't because I've seen them play because I like watching Chucky. But that doesn't really count as a Cinderella as an 8. So anyways, okay. Let's talk women's side and your Final Four on the women's side, or any other interesting news, because I know that USC coach seemed pretty mad about being the 4th overall number 1 seed. Why is she so mad?
There are some really mad coaches right now from the number 1 seed. So South Carolina is mad about not being the number 1 overall seed, and USC is mad about being the 4th overall number 1 seed. So you're talking about number 1 seeds being mad, which is just like so funny to me. But even the USC coach said, like, I basically, like, I don't know why, or I never imagined myself being mad about a number 1 seed, but I just feel like we deserved to be better, in a better position. And
I would be careful if I was her with that. I'd be careful with her if I had that sentiment, because UConn knows that. Like, right? That's what I was just about to say. UConn knows they don't want to play them. That's why she's upset, because they don't want to play UConn that early. And like, if I'm UConn, I'm licking my chops, because I'm like, I know you don't want to play me.
Yeah, exactly. And if I'm South Carolina, I don't want to play any if I'm the team playing South Carolina, I do not want to play them with the chip on their shoulder.
Facts.
You know, so it's kind of the difference between the two coaches complaining, because USC's, you know, complaining about possibly playing UConn, and South Carolina is just complaining because they played the hardest schedule in America and aren't getting credit for it. So
yeah,
that's, you know, there's two different sides to it.
If I'm USC though, I'm taking a completely different look at it. I'm going, okay, we got it. I'm saying to the media, like, when they bring that question to me, you're the 4th number 1 seed. I'm like, I don't give a damn. Like, we're going to have to beat whoever to win the national championship anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
She went about that the wrong way, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Who's your final 4?
Okay. So my final 4 is UCLA versus UConn, and South Carolina versus Notre Dame.
Okay.
So the only switch I have up from when I first said this at the podcast a couple weeks ago is Texas. I don't have Texas in my final 4, just the way that it was matched up. It has Texas playing Notre Dame, and I do have Notre Dame being Texas. So,
and Texas got smacked by South Carolina. I thought that was a little discouraging.
Smacked, absolutely smacked. So that's my final 4. I have UCLA beating UConn. It was tough at first. I'm like, you know what?
You mean USC beating UConn?
No, UCLA beating UConn.
The final 4.
I see. My bad.
In the final 4, my final 4 is UCLA, UConn, South Carolina, Notre Dame. Yeah.
Okay.
And I got South Carolina pulling away with it. Their SEC championship game was terrific. They're playing with the chip on their shoulder. I do think that they have the easiest route out of the 4 number 1 seeds. And UCLA playing UConn. UConn's playing at an extremely high level, but it does not have the bigs that they need to compete against Lauren Betts. And Lauren Betts is playing at she's just terrific right now. And so UCLA is taking UConn, and then it's a tough matchup between UCLA and South Carolina. And to be honest with you, I would love to see UCLA win it, but I pick South Carolina because I have the most faith in them.
What's the girl's name? Chloe, the blonde hair girl for South Carolina. Is it Chloe?
Chloe.
Yeah.
Her
name's
Chloe Kitts.
She's a baller.
She's a baller. And she just is stepping up to her potential right now. This is the perfect time for her to be where she's at. Because in the beginning of the season, when I called their game, I was not extremely impressed with her. And again, they're playing Purdue when I called it, so it wasn't like she needed to be on. But now she's playing at this level that I haven't seen her play at yet. And I think she's looking really good.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think they're probably the best team in the country, because all of a sudden now she's catching up, and you're like adding arguably the best 4-man in women's college basketball.
Yep. Yeah. I totally agree. Go ahead, Cart. Who do you want in your final 4?
Well, I think UConn and South Carolina will match up in the championship game. I think UConn will definitely beat, not definitely, but I do think they'll beat USC to get there. I think that's why that USC coach is so scared. And I think South Carolina is going to get their revenge from earlier this season and beat UConn to win it all. So I agree, but I think that'll be the championship. I do think UCLA will get there too. And then out of that other region, I was maybe going to go TCU. I don't know. I just think they're kind of on a roll, 2 seed.
Yeah, so the only reason I didn't pick them, so I have TCU winning their first game, then their second game, and this is classic NCAA, what we were talking about before with matching up the coaches. They have Louisville and TCU playing each other in that second round. TCU, Haley Van Lith is the point guard who transferred from Louisville. So there isn't, with the same exact coach and everything. So this is such a setup. I'm looking forward to that game in the round of 32. I think that's going to be exciting. I have TCU pulling it out, and then they go against Notre Dame. And TCU beat Notre Dame in the Cayman Islands, and there's no way Notre Dame lets them beat them again.
Does Haley have some beef with that coach, or will they be good and hug it out?
No, kind of. Like
Okay.
no one thought they did. Everyone thought they had the greatest relationship ever. And then
Yeah.
there's been like some kind of rumors about it and just like how Haley was at Louisville. And I don't know. Yeah. So from my opinion and what I've heard in rumors, and I can't really state anything because I can't even remember the stories, but just I know that they don't really have a great relationship anymore. Jeff Walls.
All right. Cam?
I probably agree with what Carly had in the Final Four and then South Carolina winning the national championship. But I will be rooting for Juju Watkins.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that will be like if I'm going with anybody to win it that I want to see win it, it's probably USC.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm not happy with the coach.
Yeah. And I'll be rooting for Juju to have a better attitude in the tournament, and then I'll really be rooting for her.
I'm actually not up to speed on this.
I wish I liked watching her better, but it's the attitude that really gets me. So if something goes wrong, it's the eye roll. It's like this whole thing, and I don't think that's like fun to watch in my opinion. Chloe might not be able to comment as much because she like, I don't know.
No, I mean, no, like I totally agree. I think she's a sophomore and she kind of has some of the body language that needs to grow up a little bit. But then at the other end, like her coach will tell the media, like we're all reading it wrong and like we don't know her, and they're like, because the conversation was her and the coach on the bench and they're talking to each other that went viral that Juju looked like she wasn't even paying attention. But from the coach's perspective, she's like, I didn't even get any of what the media was talking about. Like we were having a great conversation and I know her well enough to know that she was never gonna do that to me. And she talks all about her leadership and everything. So like I don't know, I feel like we're just looking at from the outside in. Because one time she like interrupted like the sideline interview, the coach did, and was like, this is not about how well she plays basketball, how great a basketball player is. Like it's how she leads this team and the way she does it with her voice. And we don't see any of that. So I was like kind of shocked by that. So that's the only reason I think a little differently now, but I did think that.
Yeah. I'm just kind of rooting for greatness. Like I want to see
For
her.
sure.
I think she's carrying that USC team. I know that she's got a good supporting cast around her. I just don't think it's as good as the South Carolinas of the world. So like for her to beat them, she's going to have to be just so berserk and good that it would be fun to see that happen. So I'm rooting for that. Second team would be watching Paige Beckers do that as well. So
yeah,
definitely.
In her final season, Juju still has some years to come. Like in Paige's final season, it would be really cool because she would be the one carrying this team. There's no Kiki Iriafen with her. There's Sarah Strong, who's a freshman. There's AZ Fudd, who has not played enough college basketball. So that would be really, really impressive. The one thing I will say is that I called Green Bay women's basketball Horizon League quarterfinal game, and they look really, really good. They're on a 22-game win streak. They got some really good talent, some great shooters on their end. I have them winning the first game.
What seed are they?
They are let me go up to it again. They're a 12 seed and they play Alabama. So we know that 12-5 matchup is always difficult. And I have Green Bay beating Alabama. I think it's going to be a shocker, but they got 7 seniors on their team. They're ready to compete and they can't lose right now. So they look really good. They just blew through the Horizon League. And then they face Maryland after that. And I don't think Green Bay's athleticism can match up to what Maryland has on their side. So I do have Maryland winning. But as far as just that first round goes, I do really want Green Bay to get that first win, and I think they can.
Nice. My Cinderella team is Grand Canyon. We talked about them last episode, but I think they have the best record right now in women's college basketball. It's like 30-2. They've won 30 straight games, and there's so much talk about that coach Molly Miller, and she looks like a blast. They have good vibes, so I can see them making a little Cinderella run in the tournament.
And it's her first season. She's been unbelievable.
Well, everyone wants her for the open coaching jobs, like Arizona State.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
Wait, you looked at me for kind of long. Is it not her first season?
I guess I just didn't know it was her first season.
No,
I just started hearing about her.
Yeah, it's really cool.
You got a Cinderella, Cam?
Yeah, give me my Big East squad and Creighton potentially.
Okay.
Making a little bit of noise here. They play Illinois, and then they'd play Texas next. I think Texas would win that game, but I just didn't like how they looked against South Carolina. So
I know that's true. Also, it's GCU's 5th season. Sorry, I thought it was her first for some reason. I heard that.
Oh,
wrong.
okay.
I like that Green Bay pick though, Chloe. I didn't know they had 7 seniors on their team.
Yeah,
and they've played in the NCAA tournament how many years probably together?
I know they've well, I got to look back at it because last year they didn't win their Horizon League. They lost. They got upset in the championship, and you know how the Horizon League is. You can't. So I would love to see the actual stat to that, but I would pick Green Bay over Alabama. I mean, when I watched them, I was like, this team's good. The way that they run things is crazy. Like every guard post up. Every guard is a post, like in transition against every single mismatch. Like there's some Alabama bigs that will be difficult to do that against, but their guard matchups, like they can do that. And Natalie McNeil is the stud right now, MVP. I don't know if you guys remember her. She was a Germantown player. We played against each other my junior year. She was a freshman, and she's playing at a high level, and it's fun to see them go. And a lot of flight kids, a lot of Wisconsin flight players on that team. So it'll be really cool. The other thing I would have to say is Murray State would be the other team I would look out for. I watched them play against Belmont in the Missouri Valley Conference Championship, and they could not miss. Like the way that they were shooting at like 50% from the three-point line, everybody was shooting at that clip, and the best player on the team had 32 points and was just dominant and like 10 assists. So she was unreal. So I would look out for them as well. They got a tough matchup though in the first round against Iowa. So it's a little bit difficult.
All right. I feel like we're being a little hypocritical about Texas losing to South Carolina, and like we're not saying anything about how South Carolina lost to UConn so bad. You know, it's just funny.
They got killed.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
By 29.
Yeah. Looked
Really?
horrible. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Early on in the year?
No, recently. No, but it was like a few weeks ago.
Yeah. When was it again? But it was like a couple months ago.
At UConn?
No, at South Carolina.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that now.
Just look up when that game is, and then we'll call it.
February 16th. Sorry.
So a month ago.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I thought it was January.
It's okay, Chloe. You don't have to apologize.
But yeah, they killed them. I was like, wow. Yeah, crazy. Texas has some really good players. Madison Booker, you got to look out for her, and Rory Harmon, their point guard. So they're really talented. I think South Carolina just knows how to play in the SEC championship, and Texas was stunned.
Okay. Well, it's getting darker and darker in Cameron's.
Yeah, I'm fading away over here.
That place is so dark. You need some lights. All right.
Not much to say.
All right. That's it for the dinner table. Thanks so much for watching and listening. And we'll be back next week to talk about the first and second round of the NCAA tournament.
Woo woo.